So, Alex, can you please tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I grew up on a farm. My family grew corn and beans, so in a way, I've been living and breathing the fields since I was born. I love it. So, when the time came, I naturally decided to study agronomy. After graduation, I went back home and worked with my folks for about 10 years. I was then offered a job with Fields of Gold, a small company that specializes in agricultural inputs. I started out as a field agronomist, did all the usual groundwork, but it also made me realize I enjoyed the sales part just as much as I did the field trials part. I mean, I know these farmers' struggles. I've been there myself. And to be able to help them solve problems, improve their crops, it's the best feeling. Anyway, about 6 years ago, I got promoted to sales manager and was put in charge of 6 salespeople.
Great. Sounds like you really love what you do. Okay, let's move on. I'm interested in what you would consider your greatest sales achievement, the one you are most proud of.
First off, let me just say that I hope my biggest sale is still ahead of me. But sure, I can think of a couple of major deals I helped broker.
Oh, can you tell me about one?
Towards the end of each year, my team members have to meet their sales goals. In that particular case, 5 of the 6 were really killing it. I mean, they were incredible, closing deals left and right. But the 6th guy was lagging behind. It was like someone put a curse on him or something. So what I did was I swooped in, joined him in a few of his meetings, worked my charm, and closed so many deals for him, he ended up outdoing all the others. I'm very proud of that little story. Some of the deals I closed back then are to this day our biggest clients. And I'm especially proud of the fact that I was able to help my employee.
I'd like to circle back for a moment. Did you ever talk to him about what happened?
I didn't think it was necessary. I mean, the end result was great, and that's what's important when you're in sales. In fact, I took everyone out for a beer to congratulate them on a job well done. So why scold him or ask him all sorts of embarrassing questions? He tried his best. His best wasn't good enough, but I knew this would only make him work harder next time.
And did it?
I, well, I don't remember. I'm sure it did.
How would you describe your managerial style?
I'd say that above all, it's super friendly and caring. My workers know they can come to me with whatever bugs them and find a manager who's also a friend, who honestly cares about them.
Okay, let's make a shift and talk about customers. Could you describe a case where you had to deal with a particularly challenging customer?
My first customer at Fields of Gold was an interesting guy. The first thing he ever told me was, and I quote, he wanted to sever all ties with the company.
What was your reaction?
I hung up the phone and drove over to him. I felt the situation required a much more hands-on approach. I met him face to face to ask how I could help, if there was any way I could change his feelings about our company. I could sense that he was feeling better simply because someone lent him an ear. Apparently, our customer service team failed to get back to him, forcing him to just sit and wait for his supply. Also, the sales rep he worked with quit, so he really had no one to turn to. So now, I had to find an immediate solution and supply him with the goods that very same day.
And did you? Did it work?
Yes, I called whoever I could in the company, but it wasn't easy finding a real-time solution. But then, I called a colleague of mine from another region and asked him if it was possible to take some stock from another client. Long story short, we took from one customer to give to another.
I mean, it's obvious you are genuinely customer-oriented. How are your negotiation skills?
Sure, I'm really good at negotiation. Do you have anything specific in mind?
Well, could you describe a situation where you had a tough negotiation with a potential customer, putting the deal at risk?
I remember that there was this farmer I was courting for a very long time. It somehow never materialized. There was always something in the way. Finally, after a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on our part, we were on the verge of closing a major deal with him. Actually, now he was the one eager to sign with us, but our price, which was significantly higher than our competitors, was way over his budget. Now, as far as I was concerned, it was more than reasonable to give the man a discount in order to gain a new customer and increase our market share. My thinking was that as soon as he realized how good our products were, he'd be willing to pay more for them in the future. You know, classic penetration pricing. But our finance director wouldn't hear of it. Nothing I said convinced him. He simply wouldn't budge. For him, it was selling at a loss.
Sounds incredibly frustrating. I mean, you put in a great deal of effort to gain this customer, only to see the whole thing go down the drain. So, how would you say you handled the situation?
Honestly, I was really mad at first. I even tried to talk to our CFO. I refused to lose this deal. But going over our finance director's head was a bad idea. I decided to put together a win-win deal. First, I contacted the customer and explained the situation to him honestly and directly. I told him that the price he was asking for would put my company, which was much smaller than its competitors, at a loss. I showed him how he would profit from using our products. True, they're pricier, but their value is immense. Then I approached the finance director again. I had to speak his language, so I prepared a year's prediction, demonstrating our profit margin increase in case we landed this customer. It showed how perhaps not at first, but within a year or two, we would be making some serious profit. We somehow reached a middle ground between this farmer's initial demand and our finance director's original offer, and we closed the deal.
That's quite an accomplishment. I see we have about 10 minutes left before we conclude. I'd love for us to jump into talking about your professional aspirations looking into the future.
I guess it's the same as everyone else. I want to enjoy what I do, to feel like I'm making a change for the better, and make a decent living while doing so. That pretty much sums it up.
And why Adama?
Oh, that's easy. It's one of the leading companies in our field. Pun not intended. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and it would be a significant step up for me. I feel like I'm ready for the next step in my career.
Well, thank you, Alex. I'd like to take the next couple of minutes to tell you all about Adama and specifically this role. In terms of your process, I'd also like to describe what the next steps are.